Let's continue in part 3, where we're going to see how to actually unload the previous scene. Now, I think it's a good idea actually in scene 2, instead of doing that in one trigger, to do it in two triggers. So the first trigger will move all the objects, and then the second trigger, which will be, for example, like here, can unload the previous scene. This way you will be sure that everything is moved properly. Why I'm having two scripts here? Unload scene, one script, okay. And just for now we're going to do it with yield and some time to wait. So we're going to actually move objects. We're going to rename that function to move objects, and we're going to make another one and say unload scene. And right about here at the end of move object, we're going to say invoke string unload scene, and time, which will be invokes the method in time seconds. Let's say 1.0f. And if we come here, it should have a return. Wait, actually no, return yield new wait, no, wait until, wait for seconds. Actually we don't need time here. Can we do that? No. Okay, we're going to use unexpected symbol new. Why is this happening? Okay, this is my bad. You have to type yield return new wait for seconds 1.0f. No, this should be working. Invoke repeating takes one argument. Do I have to type another one? So yeah, we don't have to type invoke repeating, we have to type invoke, and after how much time we should call it, let's say 0f, and that should work. So this will call the unload scene, and it will wait for 1 second, and then we'll unload the scene. So here we have moved the player and the camera to the new scene, and it's working. And now I think, let me open both scenes now. I think the only thing that we have to do is unload scene 0 here. Yes, load scene 1, and I think we should try to unload the first scene now. So let's come here, and after the yield, let's do Unity engine that scene manager unload scene, and we're going to use that variable unload scene. This should work. We're going to say debug.log unloading, and actually before unloading, let me check if everything is working just fine with only the debug. I'm going to scene 1. I'm going to move to load the second scene. Let me go here, jump, move all the objects to second scene, and it should be debugging, but it's not, because I have probably missed something. Move objects, it's calling that, invoke unload scene in 0 seconds. It should be calling. Okay, give me one moment. Okay, I don't know why, but I'm doing all these weird errors here. Not invoke, but start coroutine, and this will call the unload scene. Now let's see if this is going to work. We have to add the braces here, and let's see if this is going to finally work. I'm going to move the player quickly. It should give us, okay, unloading. There is the debug. No, sorry about that. Let's come here. We're going to wait 1 second. We're going to move the yield above the scene management. Save. And let's hope that Unity will not. Let's save everything. I'm going to save the project just to make sure everything is saved. Let's make sure. Let's hope that Unity will not freeze again. So we're going to follow everything now. Let's load the second scene. I will open them. I will select the player and the camera, and jump here, jump here. You can see that they got moved instantly, but the scene doesn't get loaded. Why? Well, Unity doesn't freeze at all, at least. Oh, because it's commented out. Oh, this is cool. Okay, one more time, one last time, I hope. Select the player, move it, and paste here, and the scene gets unloaded. Okay, this is so cool. It works. Now the problem is that the light is not moved, so we're going to move the light as well. Let's select game object light to be equal to game object that find directional light, and we want to move the light as well into the next scene. So if we move now, you can see that I'm doing a lot of game object that find. You can do that a lot easier. For example, let's just see what will happen. We're moving, and we have no reference exception because of the light. Why is that? That find directional light. It's probably because I'm not using. Yeah, I'm not using. I don't know why, but I can't copy and paste here. This is very disturbing. Directional light, and it's because it doesn't find. If it doesn't find the object, it's actually keeping that variable null, so we don't know what to move there. So let me trigger that. Let's go here, move everything. The light gets moved as well. I don't know why the lighting changes. Anyway, it's because point 6. These look okay now. Well, I suppose let me take copy the light and paste it in the second one. Now, of course, you will have to set up the lighting anyway, because you can't just expect the lighting to start working in the second scene. So I'm just going to select the directional light from here and paste it here, so we have light here as well in the second scene. This way I don't need to do moving of the lighting. Now, there is one important thing that you have to do. When you play and go here and load the second scene, if I make that jump, yeah, I make it, and you go here, I don't know why it keeps changing. Anyway, if you unload like this the level is actually not unloaded. It's still in the memory. So when it gets unloaded, I'm going to say in some place where you don't need too much memory. I'm going to say clear level. And after 1 second, I'm going to say unity engine that scene management that scene manager that, and we have let me check, unload scene and unloads all game objects with the scene. The game scene can either be the last part, blah 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 blah. Know that assets are currently not unloaded. In order to free up memory, you have to call resources unload all unused resources. This is what you have to do actually to unload. So we're going to say resources unload all unused assets. Unload all unused assets. This is how you actually unload the scene. So this will happen after debug.log assets unloaded, and we're going to say here debug.log scene unloaded. So let's try that for one last time. We're loading the next scene asynchronically, and we have 2 lights. For some reason this light is getting added here, and if I go here, it unloads, moves the object, moves the unload the scene unloaded, and I'm not calling that. Well, man. Okay, start coroutine, clear level, and this is finally you load the new scene. Go here, move the objects, unload the scene unloaded, assets unloaded. So, and from here you can continue to the next place. So if you want, for example, let me do something like select part 2, save it, Control Shift to save, and add scene and name it part 3. Go to file, build settings, put part 3 here, and I'm in scene 2. I will open scene 2 and will include scene 3. I will select everything, background, triggers and level element, and move them like here, and let me select these, move them up, select these, make them bigger, like this for example. This will be here, this will be here. I'm not sure if I'll be able to make that jump, but I can jump a few times, so that should work. And this is unload scene. We're going to say unload scene 1. Save. Now this is scene 2, this is scene 3. Okay, let's go to scene. Actually, in scene, let me open scene 2, scene 3. Here we're going to duplicate that trigger, and right about here we're going to select load scene 2. So this has to be loaded. Well, I have to move it, delete it from scene 1 and paste it in scene 2. It has to be in scene 2. So this is how it looks like. Now let's open scene 1. Actually scene 2, check here, everything is okay. Let's go to scene 1, play, and see what will happen now. We load scene 2, We go here, we go here, we go here, we unload scene 1. We go here, we load scene 3, and we can continue. Like I said, I can make few jumps because this is how the character is made. And here we are unloading scene 2, and this is how you can make huge level, like one game, and use just 2 triggers to unload and load. Now you can make instead of doing, if you want to move more stuff, for example, I'm finding the game object here, the player, and blah blah blah, you can make one simple game controller which have an array of game objects, and then find only the game controller and access all these objects and loop through them. So I can quickly do that. For example, in scene 1, create one empty game object and name it game controller. Make one script here, game controller C#, and I'm having other objects here for the tutorials, and I'm using game controller now, so I'm just going to use namespace level management, just to be sure that I don't have conflicts with other classes, and this should clear the error. Okay, and now I can have public game objects to move, and here I can put it should be public. I can put here all of the game objects, so I can select it, assign the script game controller, and like I want the player to be moved, I want the camera to be moved, for example. So that's it for now, these two. And in all of these triggers, let's say scene 1 and include scene 2, select in all of these triggers for unloading, instead of finding out these game objects, I'm just going to say, let me just comment them out. I'm just going to say game object level manager is equal to game object that find game object with tag. Let me go back quickly to Unity, select the game controller and add a tag game controller. So find game object with tag game controller, and now I will have that level manager, and here I can make another game object which will be array objects to move will be equal to level manager that not this objects to move. I can't assign the arrays. Why? Objects to move. I thought I can assign an array, but let's do it this way. For int I equals 0, I is less than level manager that. Why it doesn't give it to? Okay, it's giving me an error because I forgot what I have to do. I have to reference the script. So I type game controller is equal to level manager that get component game controller. So we're getting the game controller. And now, okay, I'm having other scripts because I'm keeping all of the tutorials in one project, and I have other scripts that are using game controller, and this is why I have used namespaces, level management, and this is why it gets a little bit more tricky. So just to keep everything clear here, I'm going to type using scene management, so Unity doesn't get confused about which game controller I want to use. So I'm going to say game controller level control is equal to level manager that get component game controller, and now I should be able to get that, but let's, for the sake of it, say scene management that game controller. Actually, let me comment that out and just say what the. Okay, let me remove that. That's scene management. I'm using level management as a namespace. So let's type it here just to be clear about everything. Level management that game controller level control is equal to level management that is equal to level manager that get component level management that game controller. So this is how we're going now. I'm using this level management. You don't have to, just for the sake of this tutorial you have to use it, but otherwise you don't, because I'm using namespace. I am using different game objects with the same class name. And now if I type level control that objects to move, I can get all of the objects to move from the level controller. So I'm going to say game objects to move is equal to, let me see if I can do that, level control that objects to move. So this should assign, let me see if Unity is having problems with that. No. So I'm getting all of the objects, the array of the objects, and placing it to objects to move array here. So now I can type int I equals 0, I is less than objects to move that length I plus plus, and I can say Unity engine that scene management that scene manager that move game object, and you can say objects to move I and scene to move. This is how it will loop through all of the objects that are assigned here to the game controller, and it will move them to the on the next scene. So this, we don't need them, we can remove them. Sorry about the confusion, but I am sometimes doing some things. So let's select that, let's select the player, let's start moving and see what will happen. Level 2 gets loaded, player is still in level 1. So let's jump here and see player and camera gets moved to level 2 and level 1 gets unloaded. Here level 3 gets loaded, and we're continuing in the level. We're jumping, let's jump again, oops, too high. Okay, and now object reference none set to instance of an object. This is because we had to move also the game controller from level 1, because now, but you got the idea. Now the game controller is missing and the unload scene cannot find it. So you just have to move the game controller as well, which you can go to part 1, select game controller and add it to itself. This is just one of the ways of doing it. Okay, do we have the game controller here? Yeah, we have it. Now we're going to load the next scene. Let's come here and see if this is going to work. Yes, it works, and we're in level 3 now. Everything is unloaded from the previous levels, so you can continue like this forever and have huge worlds without having to think about the loading and stuff. That's it. Press the like button if you enjoyed the tutorial and subscribe, because there will be more coming. Thanks.